Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm finally able to share with you guys all of the cool things and of course all the things that make the brand new OnePlus 8 Pro so special. I've had this device for the last couple of weeks and I've been dying to share with you guys some of the cool new features in there, namely the fact that this guy supports wireless charging. Not only that, reverse wireless charging as well. This is TK and this is all of the cool things with the brand new fastest OnePlus 8 Pro on the market. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified whenever we have new videos on the channel. Now before I go too far, obviously I want to talk about everything that's on the table. Obviously this is the box for the OnePlus 8 Pro. It's very similar to some of the other boxes. We'll talk a little bit more about what comes in there. Also we have the wireless charger. That's the 30-watt wireless charger that is made directly from OnePlus specifically for the OnePlus 8 Pro. Now this is going to work as a wireless charger with 30 watts of wireless charging capabilities to our OnePlus 8 Pro, but it also will work, and it is proprietary just to let you know, so it's not going to work 30-watt charging on any other device, but it will work basically over standard Qi charging for standard devices if you have, say, a smartphone that is not a OnePlus 8 Pro. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well as some of the specifications that make this thing so unique that I'm actually going to put out a separate video specifically talking about how fast does it actually take for us to charge our device, and is it actually faster than charging it via wire, because this is 30 watts, so definitely one of the fastest charging capabilities on the market. And of course they do include a couple of cases here. We have the carbon bumper case as well as the sandstone bumper case, and this is a brand new sandstone case, the same material that we're used to seeing from OnePlus, but in a more of a cayenne color, and it definitely looks and protects our device very nicely. This is in the ultramarine blue. There's a couple of other colors that's going to be available, the onyx black as well as the glacier green. This one is supporting 4 cameras on the back and a single camera on the front, a 6.78 inch display. This is running at QHD with 120 Hertz that you're able to run at the same time. Of course, we have a lot of specifications that we'll get a chance to jump into, but let's go ahead and jump in and see what's actually included in the box itself. And inside of that, we obviously have normally the stickers, the SIM removal tool, and of course a thank you letter directly signed by Pete Lau, and some more information as far as safety as well as starter guide. They do include a free see-through case that actually does come with the word "and never settle" on it. So I hope you guys could see that right there. So here it is getting again the reflection a little bit, and it will look really, really nice with the device. Standard USB-C to USB Type-A OnePlus cable, as well as of course the Warp Charge 30T charging brick that is pretty much the same one we've seen last year with the standard 7T series of devices. Should be able to charge up our device roughly in about an hour or so. Keep in mind that the battery that we have now on the OnePlus the OnePlus 8 Pro is 4500 milliamp, so it's definitely bigger than what we've had last year. So we'll have to see how fast is this able to charge it, and is it still able to do it in about an hour or not. So this wireless charger is a proprietary charger, and what that means is that the cable that we have here does not get unplugged. You can only use it directly with it. It is going to be providing us 30 watts worth of fast wireless charging directly to the OnePlus 8 Pro and only the 8 Pro currently. If you put a standard Qi charging device on this, it's going to charge it probably at a normal rate, but will not benefit from the 30 watts. We have an LED indicator, a kickstand here, and a rubber offset, as well as an opening here for ventilation, and of course opening here on the back with the OnePlus logo on the top. Is this actually going to be as fast as charging it with the Warp 30T charger? I'm definitely going to be doing a comparison for you guys very, very shortly after this video goes live. And of course, you'll be able to see all of the benefits of basically, should you basically stick to the wired connection, or could this wireless charger basically make it so that it becomes very, very easy for us to charge up our devices without even having to worry about wires. And of course, just to kind of get the cases out of the way, here is the sandstone case. Again, this is the cyan one. We have the volume rocker on the left side, the power button with the, obviously the slider here sitting, an opening for the microphone at the top, bottom fire speaker, USB-C, and a microphone on the bottom, and of course an opening for all 4 cameras, the color filter and the 3 main sensors that we hear, as well as obviously it should be able to use wireless charging and reverse wireless charging with this case. It is definitely grippy, but it definitely looks a lot better than just the typical sandstone that we've seen in the past. And lastly, the carbon bumper case is pretty much what we've normally expected to see from OnePlus. Very nice, very thin, very minimalistic. It does have a little bit of a raised bump around the actual camera array. The volume rocker, everything is open. There is a little bit of a raised option here so to keep the display off. Keep in mind that my device does not have a screen protector, but the retail models that do come in from OnePlus will always have a pre-applied screen protector. So when it comes to the actual design, the brand new OnePlus 8 Pro is definitely a little bit thinner and taller than what we've seen last year with the OnePlus 7 Pro. Now, if we compare them as far as the aesthetics, you'll notice obviously first and foremost, the color's a little bit lighter. They're pretty much following the same aesthetic. I love the really good colors that we have here. Now, this one is the ultramarine blue. There's going to be an onyx black as well as a glacier green. Two different configurations for the most part, an 8/128 and a 12/256. Now, this one's going to be available specifically on the OnePlus website as well as Amazon, and that's pretty much where you'll be able to get the brand new OnePlus, basically the brand new OnePlus 8 Pro. That's pretty much where it's going to be. There'll be a link in the description below if you'd like to pick it up directly from OnePlus's website and save some money on your order, as well as another link for the Amazon site if you'd like to check it out there. But as far as the actual overall aesthetics, we have now wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. We also have a 500 milliamp hour battery that is bigger than what we have here with the OnePlus 7 Pro. Both are supporting fast charging. This one was this one actually was the Warp Charge 30, and this is the Warp Charge 30T, as well as the 30-watt wireless charger, as I showed you guys in the beginning. Make sure to check out that link in the description below for the video covering the comparison on how fast does this device charge wirelessly as opposed to wired. But again, I'm pretty sure you also want to see how this is compared to the actual brand new OnePlus 8. Now, the OnePlus 8, as opposed to the 8 Pro, obviously is a smaller device. It's a 6.55-inch display as opposed to the 6.78-inch display. We don't have wireless charging, but we do have a 4300 milliamp battery as opposed to the 4500 here on the left with the OnePlus 8 Pro. Triple camera setup as opposed to the quadruple camera setup here. No wireless charging and no reverse wireless charging, and that we do have here on the OnePlus 8 Pro. The aesthetics or the actual form factor is a 20:9 aspect ratio, so a little bit thinner, but definitely smaller as far as the aesthetics. So both devices share similar aesthetics. We no longer have that circular camera bump on the back, but I really wish that the color that we have here on the OnePlus 8 was present on the OnePlus 8 Pro. As far as the price point, the OnePlus 8 will be sold on the OnePlus website as well as the Amazon website, and of course there's going to be availability between T-Mobile and Verizon as far as their respective versions of this device. The main thing you want to keep in mind is that the 5G is compatible with both of these devices since they're running the X55 modem with the Snapdragon 865, although only the version sold by Verizon will support the millimeter wave version of the 5G. All the other variants that you're able to pick up will be able to support the sub 600 megahertz. So if you're picking up any device, any of these devices for either OnePlus, Amazon, or T-Mobile, you'll be able to get the sub 6 5G compatibility, which I've been using on both of these devices. And if you want to get the millimeter wave, you do need to pick that up directly from Verizon. Price and availability obviously will be dependent on them, but the Amazon as well as the OnePlus will be $699 and $799 for the OnePlus 8, and of course $899 and $999 for the OnePlus 8 Pro. Now, when it comes to the actual specification, and we talked already about the fact that this is a Snapdragon 865. We have the X55 modem for 5G. I am running this on T-Mobile, and I'm showing that I'm running it on 5G. We do have voice over LTE. A lot of people usually ask me about that. A fingerprint sensor built into the display, a longer form factor, QHD display running at 120 Hertz. This is absolutely one of the fastest things. I was very happy last year when we saw the 90 Hertz on the QHD display with the OnePlus 7 Pro. This year with the OnePlus 8 Pro, this is just crazy. Not only that, the fact that in the US market, you have the opportunity to pick up the 8 or the 8 Pro at the same time without having to basically wait the way we had it last year, where we had the 7 Pro at the beginning of the year and the 7T at the end of the year. We have obviously some curvature on the display on both sides as far as the front and the back. It's more prominent on the front. Gestures with Android 10.0, since we are running Oxygen OS on top of that. Customizations, of course, all the way that you'd expect with OnePlus. We have obviously the hidden space here. You're able to hide a few things in there if you'd like. Swiping from the left, we have access directly to the Google feed. Swiping down, opening up notifications. Of course, Dark Theme 2.0 that's present here directly within the Oxygen OS running here. Wi-Fi, all the toggles that you normally expect, do not disturb. NFC support, obviously, for payments. Reading mode, we have hotspot. Reverse charge is supported here at 3 watts, which means we'll be able to charge other devices that support wireless charging, Qi wireless charging, at up to 3 watts when you're using it reverse. When you're charging this with the OnePlus charger directly made for this for wirelessly, you'll be able to charge the device at 30 watts. Zen mode with configurable times, as well as screen recording natively supported, and the OTG toggle is also adding. You can add it directly into the toggle option to enable us to use thumb drives directly. Screencasting to any supported Chromecast that's supported on the network that you have on there. I think I mentioned already that the battery is a 4500 milliamp battery that's built in here. And of course, overall USB-C 3.1 supported at the bottom. Dual SIM card supported bottom on the bottom right now, with a bottom firing speaker married with a top earpiece to give us stereo speakers with the Dolby Atmos configuration. So again, top of the line, best of the specifications that you can expect getting directly from them. As far as the actual storage that we have here, this model has the 256 gigs of internal storage. So we have 256 gigs of internal storage at UFS 3.0, and of course we have 12 gigs of DDR5 RAM on this. We have a dual 48 megapixel sensor, so the standard focal length and the ultra wide are both 48 megapixel sensors. The 8 megapixel sensor is really a 12 megapixel sensor that's cropped down to 8 to give us that telephoto functionality, and then of course that 5 megapixel color filter that I showed you guys at the back. 120 hertz fluid AMOLED at 6.78 display, and here 6.678 display, so definitely a little bit bigger as it is taller. But here we have a triple camera setup at 48 at 16 and an 8, and of course here we now have a quadruple, 2 48s, an 8 and a 5. Running Oxygen OS, of course, version 10.5.2, and of course Android 10.0 to boot. Again, this is the model that is going to be coming out, which is the IN 2025. And if I'm not mistaken, the IN 2015 is going to be the OnePlus 8. Looking over the UI, as you can expect, 120 hertz is definitely very nice and very appreciated. The UI fluidity is just absolutely fantastic. The main thing you want to keep in mind is that the device will not run at 120 hertz all the time. This is an automatic 120 hertz. And what I mean by this, if we go under the advanced settings, you'll notice that there's two resolutions here. There's Full HD Plus and QA, and basically the refresh rate. This device enables us to go to 120 hertz as well as QHD at the same time. That's 3168 by 1440, and of course you can turn on auto power saving if you'd like. And the refresh rates, we have two options, either 60 hertz or 120. We don't seem to have 90 hertz, which was something that we've had on previous versions of devices, but it definitely is nice to have it here on this device here, the way we have it here. So for me, 4500 milliamp battery, I'm going to just keep it at 120 hertz QHD all the time. Front camera display area, you can obviously set it up here. You can customize it if you want to be able to hide the notch or without it. Personally, I don't really have a problem with it. It is sitting up there, and you can definitely see the notification. The time is sitting right next to that camera. Other than that, you can customize the color, the vibrancy, of course the brightness of the display. Night mode, as I mentioned, night mode 2.0 with more compatibility to more applications supported there. Font size, display scaling, status bar, auto rotation, and screen saver. Screen mirroring is still supported here via the USB-C if you connect it to a compatible monitor or with an MHL adapter. There is technically an Android desktop mode here if you force it within the developer options, but by default it is not on. Other than that, they've also included a couple of options here to be able to allow us to have really good smooth graphics on this device. So under video enhancement, we'll notice there's two options. Basically the Vibrant Color Effect Pro, which I recommend you turning on, enables the colors to basically become more rich and pop a lot more on the actual display. Motion graphic smoothing enables us to actually have video that's supported on different applications. So you'll notice right there, Gallery, Prime, YouTube, Netflix, and of course other supported apps to basically play at the refresh rate, especially since we're running 120 hertz. It'll run just a lot smoother than having any kind of stuttering issues. I recommend turning both of these features on when you're going in and setting up your device for the first time. You can still customize it with the themes, all the other options, sound and vibration. We do have Dolby Atmos support here. Now there is no 3.5mm headphone jack, but as you saw probably during the announcement that the wireless Bullet Z that are also going to be available for sale, they're not true wireless, but they're going to be providing us some of the best experiences directly on this device. If you want to be able to configure and turn on live caption, the setting is built in here. It is not present with the volume rocker, so just be aware it is under the setting. You can just turn it on here, say got it, and it'll actually activate whenever you're watching a video and you mute the audio on it. So definitely a very nice option for specific areas or situations where you don't want to have any audio but still want to understand what's going on. The touch vibration motor here, you'll be able to turn it on, and the haptics on this have definitely been improved since last year's model. So if you've loved the motors or the haptic motors on the OnePlus 7 Pro from last year or the 7T Pro, you're going to love it with the OnePlus 8 Pro. Last but not least, gestures and configurations, all the standard options that we've had before, apps and notifications, privacy, location. We have fingerprint sensor unlocking, so let's go ahead and do that here. Pretty fast and very easy. We also have face unlocking, and also very, very fast. And of course, biometric with pins or anything like that, similar to the way we had it before. Storage out of the box, I've installed a few applications, so it's hard to tell, but again, 256 gigs is what you normally get with it, and the battery is pretty much very easily charged very quickly with both wired and wireless. Digital well-being and parental control, Google, and under utilities we have a few other options. As you can imagine, OnePlus Switch is in here, and this is what you need to use to be able to transfer your data from your old device to your new one. parallel apps. If you have them installed, you're able to use them with multiple accounts without having to set up a profile within the app, just having two separate apps. Quick launch enables us to customize the shortcuts here on the actual fingerprint sensor when you unlock, if you keep pressing on it. Under the OnePlus Labs, we have DC dimming, which is nice, hypermotion smoothing, which actually we saw before, and this just enables us to basically have a better smooth experience with the graphics. And of course, enable dark tone in more apps. That's just forcing dark mode on more applications, part of the dark theme 2.0. Last but not least, of course, quick reply in landscape, and of course, pocket mode. Now, when it comes to the actual cameras, as I mentioned to you guys, we have a quad camera set up on the back. The front-facing camera is a 16 megapixel camera. If we jump into the camera application, we have different modes, as you can imagine. They've changed some of the aesthetics here a little bit. So we have photo mode, we have video mode, we have smooth motion, sorry, slow motion, panorama, and then of course time-lapse. They're all present here on the left, and you're able to swipe between them directly on the UI. We have the wide-angle lens that's a 48 megapixel sensor at the same time as the standard focal length. The telephoto lens is really at 8 megapixel, that's what they're rating it there, and it's able to providing us up to 3 times telephoto, lossless zoom. And of course we have portrait zoom, which we will be able to actually use the depth information from the dual sensors in the back. If we're in the photo mode, as I mentioned at the beginning, there is this color filter that's present on the right side, and that's mostly available for this functionalities, the options that you have here, where you have the standard filter, but all the way to photochrome. So this is something that you're able to use to customize and create some interesting colors. You can also do true black and white, as you can see right there. So, but the main presence of that filter right now is for this theme, or this actual filter. And of course, we'll be able to see some more options. Swiping up from the top, definitely very nice. We have video, portrait, night mode, or nightscape, pro mode, time lapse, and portrait. One of the things they did actually mention to us is that the device is actually now capable of focusing on cats or pets a lot better than it did before. So if you have any pets and you love taking pictures of them, this is definitely going to work a lot better. And you can see here how much detail we have in the image that I was able to take of my cat without necessarily losing any fuzziness. As you know, animals are moving quite fast, and this works really nice. The same UI gives us the ability of jumping in and taking a full 48 megapixel image, or just taking it straight with a 12, which essentially is pixel binning down to 12. We do have a macro mode, but this is pretty much using the wide angle lens to be able to get us that closeness to the actual subject. So we're not actually getting a true macro lens, but it works really nice. Video on this, as I mentioned to you guys before, the front-facing 16 megapixel sensor will give us 1080p at 30 frames per second. The back-facing sensors, if we go into the settings, we'll be able to go into the video resolution. We'll notice that there's a couple of options there. Standard 4K 30, 4K 60. We also have the Cine mode at 30 frames and Cine mode at 4K 60 frames per second. It will actually give you a much wider, more cinematic look to an actual video. Of course, 1080p at 30, 1080p at 60. And as far as basically slow motion, you have 720p at 480 frames per second and 1080p at 240 frames per second. So I'll give you guys a few examples of both of these now, just to be able to give you just how the video and audio comes out of this device. But before we go too far, the ultra steady here, the stable mode that we have here, is now capable of going all the way up to 4K 30 frames per second, not just at 1080p like the way we've seen it with other devices. When it comes to the front-facing sensor on the OnePlus 8 and the 8 Pro, for some reason we only have 1080p 30 frames per second or 720p 30 frames per second video. You guys can let me know, what do you guys think? What I do like about the fact is that in the UI, whenever we're actually taking video, there's actually a small circle that's positioned right around the camera so that you actually know where to look. So if you want to make sure, obviously, that the experience is pretty much the same, like you're looking at the person watching the video. All in all, this was just, again, same area, walking around with it, 1080p 30 frames per second maximum resolution. Let me know in the comments, of course, what do you guys think of the audio and the video from the front-facing camera on the brand new OnePlus 8 Pro. Now, as far as the stabilization that we have on the back, we have OIS and EIS on different lenses, but as far as that super stable footage that we're normally used to seeing at 1080p in most devices, actually on the brand new OnePlus 8, we're able to get it all the way up to 1080p as well as 4K 30 frames per second stabilized. So you guys can basically judge and tell me, how does the video and audio look like with this device as I was walking in my backyard, and did you guys notice any jittering? Although the maximum resolution on this device will be 4K 60 frames per second, and we also have the ability of using the cinematic mode, which essentially fills up the display to do more of a wider angle shot. So this is 4K 60 frames directly on the OnePlus 8 Pro, shot using the main sensor on the back. And as you guys obviously saw right there, the audio and video just sounds absolutely fantastic. I love the fact that we're able to get stabilized 4K 30 frames per second footage on this device, and it works just really, really nice. Now, this is a non-copyrighted song, again, called Jumbo by Alex Scrindo. The volume is set to be at the highest level, and again, we have it under dynamic with the actual option. And then you notice right there, live caption is set right now here if you want to be able to use it. Definitely loud, and it sounds really good. And again, you can customize it with the actual Dolby Atmos if you'd like to. The image smoothing that you saw right there in the middle of that video is also present on Netflix and other supported applications, so we'll definitely be able to benefit it from there. Now, obviously, gaming on this device is going to be one of the best opportunities, and specifically if we actually have the ability of using UFS 3.0 on a device. So sequential write 1745, 751 on the actual read. Google Play applications installed, Play Store installed, of course, and of course, we're going to need to talk about gaming on this device. I did install a suite of games on this device, and I'm going to show you guys some metrics that I was able to pull through using Game Bench. So I have Dead Trigger 2, Dub Dash, Breakneck, Ark Survival here. Obviously, we have Fortnite from Epic Games, Call of Duty, PUBG Mobile, Real Racing 3, and Arena of Valor. For the overall aesthetics, as you guys are looking right now on the actual gaming, on the actual configuration right there with the results, I haven't seen a single game that works yet at 120 frames per second on this device. And that could be because this device is not officially released by the time I'm releasing this video for you guys. What you're looking at here is the best performance, so 60 frames per second on Fortnite. Although, just to let you know, in the actual game, it does say 90 frames per second, but for some reason, when I show the frame rates in the game, I don't have a way of seeing it go beyond 60 frames per second. Call of Duty, of course, PUBG also runs at a solid 60 frames per second, and of course Dead Trigger 2. Overall, I think everything will run really smoothly on this device, and of course Game Center is installed here natively. So after using this device for the last couple of weeks, I have to say that some of the main things that I'm really happy about this device is A, the IP68 certification that we have on this device is definitely very nice. Wireless charging and reverse wireless charging with the ability of keeping the temperatures running cool on this device is definitely very good. We have a bigger battery, we have the brand new Snapdragon 865 with the XT55 modem, so meaning we are going to support 5G in the US. Now keep in mind the 8 Pro will not support millimeter wave because that one's not actually going to be sold by OnePlus, by Verizon at this point. So maybe in the near future we'll be able to see a version of that available there. The OnePlus 8 will be available on Verizon, and of course we'll explain that a little bit more in that video. But I've had basically nothing but positive experiences with this device. Gaming on it, the stereo speakers, the fluidity of the display, the gestures, everything on it just looks a lot better. And the fact that we have a thinner display, meaning that 19.8 by 9 aspect ratio is definitely much easier to hold in the hand, and of course gestures and all of that stuff is really nice. Let me know in the comments below, what would you like me to focus on as far as feature videos directly for this device in the near future. I already have one in the works, which is the charging speed test between the wired versus the wireless for the OnePlus 8 Pro, and again, keep in mind it does reverse wireless charging at 3 watts. Very, very fast, very nice, and keep an eye out for the launch day bundle that they're going to be talking about directly on their site. And if you'd like to, you'll be able to use the link in the description below. You'll be able to save yourself an additional $10 on your order, as well as actually be able to save some money on just sharing that with some of the other friends if you'd like to be able to support the channel. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support, and I hope you guys are as excited as I am about the brand new OnePlus 8 Pro. I'll see you guys in the next video.